Namaskar and thank you for joining us here on our weekly program on geoeconomics. On the program today, we'll discuss the economic potential of religious tourism in India. Temple economics has played a traditional role in developing local economies. Economic activities in holy towns and cities are driven by the demand for spiritual fulfillment surrounding the temple or the place of religious significance. You take Balaji Temple in Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh, Golden Temple in Amritsar, the Siddhi Vinayak Temple in Mumbai, the Jagannath Temple in Puri. These are all examples of temples that attract millions of visitors every year and contribute to the local economies. Now, the Ram Temple in Ayodhya joins this list of places with a footfall that's likely to be over 300,000 a day. We'll discuss how this will impact the economy. And for the moment, we have with us Dr. Charan Singh, eminent economist, the CEO of eGrow Foundation. We'll also be joined by Rajiv Mehra, the president of the Indian Association of Tour Operators later. As an economist, Dr. Charan Singh, do you see a holy city's economic activities being molded around the presence of a temple? Are we likely to see other important pilgrimage sites also getting a boost?
There are, to this question which you have asked, I would answer it in three different aspects. One is the exact what is that we are going to get out of pilgrimage tourism or spiritual tourism. What does the city benefit from and what does the economy benefit from? So if I go to the first question, my own understanding is that the most important thing, it provides an opportunity for India in soft skill and tell to the world what an ideal society or ideal economy is. As you have seen in the last 200 to 300 years, the global economy has reached a problem point where climate has become a very big challenge and pollution is rampant, and it is so difficult for the whole planet that glaciers are melting and overall the climate scene has become very critical. So that is one thing, the soft skill as to what does the Indian economy or what does the Indian philosophers and how would a good king run the economy? There will be circular economy and there will be utilization of resources in a better way so that we do not reach this state of climax. The other, the most important to me, is India's philosophy as a statecraft. Now, as you know, when we have the Ram Temple also signifies harmonious relationships. Though Lord Ram has gone and conquered Lanka and won it, he did not stay there. Rather, when his brother Lakshman is saying that we should stay at this place, he says, no, this is not what attracts me. I'm going to go back to my own country and contribute in developing it. So
Yes.
this is, I think, a very strong philosophical learning from Lord Rama and such soft skills which Lord Ram's mandir should provide to the world. Second point is the local Ayodhya economy. As you know, the local economy is going to get a very big boost, not only in terms of construction, with pilgrims coming in from all across the country and the world. And I was looking at some data, and there is going to be nearly huge influx, about 1 lakh pilgrims every day that would flock to the temple as it finally settles down. Hotel industry, tourism, guides, also, you can imagine the infrastructure that would be required, the airport that would come up, and all this connected multiplier things that happen with the investment on tourism, especially spiritual tourism, is
Right.
going to be very. The third point is when
Yes.
somebody comes for typical specific tourist destination, there are other advantages. If
Right.
there are tourists coming from within the country or across the world, they are going to use this as a touch point and then go around. In this
Okay.
case, around Lucknow or in UP, other pilgrim centers, they're all going to get a boost out of this.
Sure. So
So
we'll
I
talk.
would look at this from three angles.
Yes, we look at these in more detail, Dr. Charan Singh, but we are also joined by Mr. Rajiv Mehra, who's the president of the Indian Association of Tour Operators. Mr. Mehra, hundreds of millions of people visit temples every year as a matter of pilgrimage. In fact, according to one report, 143.3 million Indians had visited temples for pilgrimages in 2022, and 6.44 million foreign tourists too had visited these places. An income of around $16 billion was generated. Now that we are adding the Ram temple to all these in the circuit, how is it going to increase?
Well, the point is that religious tourism is definitely set to increase. And my saying here is that this is the first, I will call it a man-made religious spot which has been developed by the government and our Honorable Prime Minister. The flow of tourists, both in organized and unorganized sectors, will be so much that it will be unimaginable for time to come. Your report just shows 50 luxury hotels. The statistics which I had today from the UP Tourism Department is that there are 73 of them on the coming up shortly. Shortly means another 2 years it will take.
Right.
The infrastructure is already there. So the boost to the economy, where to Ayodhya, not only in form of the construction work, as my colleague just mentioned, uh, the hotel industry, the tourism industry, the drivers, the guides, everything will go many-fold, and it will take some time for all of us to
Yes.
do it. Some of our members have developed programs. Uh, Surprisingly, they had released it day before yesterday,
Okay.
making it a minimum 2-night destination. That is very important. It will be a minimum 2-night destination because there are so many other attractions
Absolutely.
related to Lord Ram, which have been developed already. So
Right.
2 nights is a very good time to spend, and the amount of the money a person will spend on
Sure.
accommodation, transportation, meals
So,
would cannot be compared.
so it's a minimum of 2 days, is what you're saying. Dr. Charan
Two
Singh,
nights,
the cultural
two
and
nights.
artistic traditions also of the people, they are preserved, by the demand that the temple generates. In what way does this, create an ecosystem that can sustain all the economic activities, the painting, sculptures, and all that?
Very right. So as you have just mentioned, cultural economics is something which we in our country have not really studied upon. The importance of museums and heritage, which the temple is now going to demonstrate, I think the government and the local authorities there have to develop this and capitalize on this. Once the tourist is there, it can be now used when he says there's going to be a 2 days minimum 2 nights and 2 days stay. That's what they're aiming at. I have myself been to Ayodhya. I've seen the place where the arti takes place and the temples around it. 2 days one can easily now build infrastructure of cultural tourism where the museums are there, and then this place is used to showcase India's rich tradition and culture. Now, when we talk about culture, it could be various aspects of the economy and the lifestyle that has been there. As I mentioned in G20, the Prime Minister had introduced the concept of life, basically talking about the circular economy that is coming from our traditions. He
Yes.
had also introduced various styles of textiles, textures, food, and dance forms. All those need to be then now showcased as far as Ayodhya is concerned.
Okay.
Also, the most important thing, as I mentioned, is something that the world can learn from the Indian growth model. The most important thing in the Indian growth model is living harmoniously with nature.
All right.
That is a very rich cultural thing which rest
Okay.
of the world probably forgets. And when I look at the philosophical bearings of the Western world versus the Indian culture, in Indian culture the tradition is of sharing and deriving contentment. The Western culture is more of deriving everything for one's own satisfaction.
All
So,
right.
while in the Western civilization it is that they need to fulfill their requirement, in India it is more of sharing. So, these sort of values, which the Ram
Sure.
Ramayana and the life of Lord
Dr.
Ram
Charan Singh, now that
demonstrates.
you've brought in the West, so let me ask you a question about that. You know, there seems to be some sort of moral relativism there. People are, not going to places of worship as often as they used to in the past. So it also reduces the potential, doesn't it, then for economics surrounding the places of worship. Do you see this happening over time in India as well?
Well, now I would again say that there are two, three aspects to this which one has to explore. Firstly, as far as the temple in Ayodhya is concerned, it is modern temple. Though it is referring to something which happened 7,000 years ago, the construction is extremely recent. So there is going to be curiosity, architectural curiosity, as well as cultural curiosity in people to come and visit the small town of Ayodhya. Now, once that is done, so I can look at, please remember the population of the world, there are 120 crore Hindus. There is devotion involved there. So you can imagine that there's going to be a rush of these people. And then there are some other tourists who not only come for devotion, spiritual,
Right.
but they also come for cultural and they also come up for curiosity. So you can imagine the flow of people that will happen and the time duration during which it will happen. The
Okay.
other point is most of the spiritual tourist destinations are also places where huge museums are set up. The advantage of a museum is that it showcases over a period of time what was the lifestyle then. So not only it is spiritual seekers who come, it's also the general population who would
All
like
right.
to come and see what was the style of living at that time, what was the culture, food, dance forms, architectural designs, all those issues. So
Okay.
while there could be a decline in of course, in the Western world, as you rightly said, that there's a decline in worshippers going to churches. But in the Indian context, at least for the next 2 decades, I don't see a let up there. There's going to be huge
All right.
pressure.
Fair
And
enough.
more and above that, I would think it becomes the capital of cultural diversity, which demonstrates the richness of the culture. So therefore, it attracts tourists from different aspects. That
Right.
is, I think, which will continue the
Sure.
flow of tourism.
Let me bring in Mr. Mehra once again. Mr. Mehra, in India, the epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, they have an eternal relevance in a sense. So do you see these, sustaining enough fervor in people so that they can actually go or continue to visit uh, these places of worship, the temples, also so that the youth, can continue in this way rather than be drawn into the global culture because they are already exposed to the global culture as a
You see,
result of online platforms.
definitely we will have a,
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely we will have a lot of, definitely we will have a lot of rush there, and it will be not even the elders, but it will be the youth also who want to go and see this. And as my co-panelist just said, um, the for next 2 decades, I said for next 4 decades, the next 40, 50 years, there'll be no dearth of people going on to Ayodhya.
okay.
Even the Mahabharata sector at Kurukshetra is being developed. I was there about 10 days back. Development is going on there, and if that is also given due publicity as it has been given to Ayodhya at the moment, that will also develop there soon.
Right.
Kashi Vishwanath got 10%, well, more than it attracted 10 folds of what it was doing
Yes.
before the corridor was built.
Yes.
So that is the point of thing, and I'm imagining, and I've said it earlier also. I don't know what will happen during the Nam Nami in April of people going to Ayodhya, and then I forecast that when people go to Prayagraj for the Kumbh, at least 15 to 20% will definitely come to Ayodhya.
All right.
So the cultural point, yes, as you correctly said, if we have those museums and other attractions which are almost ready, because I
Right.
was also there in Ayodhya a couple of months back. They are all ready, and the tour operators are packaging it along with everything,
Okay.
and we will see
So,
a
but
lot of
Mr.
rush,
Mehra,
and you will be surprised.
Mr. Mehra,
Even from abroad, we are getting queries from, especially from
sure.
non-resident Indians.
Okay.
UK and USA are the most where queries are coming from people to come here.
So demand is definitely there. I agree with you, Mr. Mehra, but access also has to be created, infrastructure has to be built, roads, hotels, etc. So already we're seeing that the Ram Temple is overwhelmed by the number of visitors. So how best should this be managed? I mean, you're a tour operator. Do we have to limit the numbers of people coming?
Well, first of all, as far as the travel to Ayodhya is concerned, there is no problems. We have trains, sufficient flights, road connectivity with Lucknow or Varanasi is good. Hotels are there in plenty at the moment, but not of five-star category or things like that. But others are there where upper middle class might not like to stay. But then till that develops, people can go from Lucknow 2 hours drive, have darshan, come back in the evening. So those
Okay.
things are there, and but there should not be any problems at all uh, for this kind of a rush. But this has to be managed immediately. It has to be managed. Barricades have to be put up. We have told them that queue system today. What are reports I have is things were very much organized today, and if they are organized like this only in the coming days, then I think the rush will be controlled. People
Okay.
will have quick darshan there and move out, and then they have to do some kind of VIP darshan ticketing or whatever that is
All right.
to control the VIP rush also, because everyone today wants VIP darshan there.
Okay.
So that is another thing
Sure.
which is there, and we have informed the
Right.
administration of the same to work on that also.
Mr. Mehra, also, I mean, when we've already got examples of Balaji Temple in Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. It receives around 100,000 devotees per day, about 30 to 40 million annually. Then there's the Golden Temple in Amritsar. That also receives around 100,000, 90,000 visitors per day, reaches about 22 million per year. So they're likely, perhaps, because of Ayodhya, more people would like to go to also these places. Should the infrastructure ramp up over here as well?
Definitely, you see, and Amritsar, things are very much organized. The lines are there to go inside, very well organized, and the number of hotels in the last 4 5 years has been so much there that there is no shortage of hotels now there. Infrastructure is there, flights, plenty of flights are there, trains are there, so there is no problem. Similarly, at Balaji,
Okay.
plenty of hotels have come up. Air connectivity, train connectivity is excellent, and it is improving day by day. But
Okay.
they have to learn something from Amritsar, how to control the crowd, how people, devotees should go inside and come out. Uh, that has to be done in a very systematic manner. And then Ayodhya, which is, as you said, it's just a developed new development, a new constructed temple. That only then only we will be able to get more people,
Okay.
and we because it has been done recently. There is sufficient space available there.
All right. Dr. Charan Singh, post renovation in 2022, the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi attracted 73 million tourists. That was a tenfold increase, as Mr. Mehra was telling us. Now, that's a clear sign that there's huge potential underlying, isn't it? If religious tourism contributes $16 billion currently, tourism ministry estimates suggest that it's going to be about $59 billion by 2028. What do you think could be the real picture? I mean, the real big picture. So I can't hear you. Perhaps you're on mute or something.
Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
I can hear you. Go ahead, sir. Yes.
So now, see, firstly, I would like to say, referring to your previous question, I think the corridor between Lucknow and Ayodhya, and I've traveled on road by that, takes about 2 hours, is can be developed extensively. And all types of hotels for the low middle income, high income groups, all can come up in that corridor. I think that needs to be developed very fast because that's the very multiplier advantage one has when you have a heritage spiritual center like in Ayodhya. So there's lots of scope for village tourism too that can help in and around Ayodhya, and that instantly increase the income, per capita income of families living in that area. Now, please remember that between the Golden Temple and Ayodhya, there's a very big difference. The Golden Temple in Sikh region is about 500 years old. We are talking of a temple and culture which is 7,000 years old. The curiosity and interest in this temple is going to be multifold, not only from the angle of spirituality, but also from the angle of culture, sculptures, also from the angle of governance, because Lord Ram is considered to be the ideal king. So
Yes.
it is going to be much more. So therefore, I think village tourism needs to be encouraged, and that is low cost, minimum time, maximum return. And then I mentioned about the corridor. Now you
Okay.
were talking about crowd management, and I'm certain there's going to be much more crowd because there is interest. It is a modern temple, modern architect for a 7,500-year-old civilization which is being discussed.
Okay.
So therefore, there's going to be much more crowd and much more interest. How do you handle that? I was suggesting there should be a telecast, constant telecast from morning when the doors open till
Okay.
evening that the doors closed. And there should be LED screens across the city as well as on different channels so that
Right.
there is a rationalization or rationing of crowd that is seeking to go there for darshan.
Okay.
That can help. In the
It's a very
meantime,
practical
the
suggestion.
infrastructure can develop. In the meantime, the infrastructure can develop and the capacity can develop to absorb physically people
Right.
reaching there.
Uh,
As far as the
sure.
question that you have, as far as the question that you have directly asked me on the volumes, yes, according to Future Market Insights, the India faith-based tourism market is estimated at US dollars 1,025 million in 2023, and the growth rate is expected to be 16%. And Indian faith based tourism market share in its parent market is around 10%. Now you can imagine with the interest which has been created and the first day
Okay.
festivities that happened, and the about 2 crore people watched it live.
Yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
therefore the advertisement has been on full blast.
Right,
So
absolutely.
this is going to really change
Okay.
the flow of tourists there, and therefore it's very necessary to manage that
Right.
excessive
So
flow.
we're running short of time. Mr. Mehra, India's current tourism to GDP ratio is 6.8%. It's much lower than many other developed countries. So India has a lot more to offer in terms of, apart from religious tourism, there's so much more of the incredible India story that can be added to the tourism map. So do you see us scaling up,
Def-
to give tourists the complete experience?
Definitely, you see, India and under the present government, Statue of Unity was built. 50,000 people visit every day. 50,000. And over the Christmas, New Year holidays, every day, footfall was more than 90,000 people. They were able to handle because it's a new area, new place. There's sufficient space, which is there at Ayodhya also at the moment. And this will give a very big boost. And my saying always has been that the hotels which are opening up should take in employment the people from the nearby villages,
Okay.
train them, and use them in their hotels. that way,
Sure, sir.
the economy of that area will flourish like anything. We
Okay.
have to have good. These people should be. Yes, I don't say that you don't get the people from outside, but
Right.
sufficient people should be trained
Okay.
by everyone, all hotel chains, and then you see the reaction and how
Okay,
those people
we've
who
run
from the
absolutely short
villages.
of time, so let me
Yeah,
get the final word in from Dr. Charan Singh. Saudi Arabia, Dr. Charan Singh earns about $20 billion a year from the Hajj and the Umrah. And the Vatican generates about $100 million every year in museum fees itself. So clearly, each important place of pilgrimage in India has similar potential given the number of devotees in India itself. So what do you think? I mean, is is likely to happen?
So I think there's going to be a boost to the Indian economy, especially the UP economy. And I think, according to the estimates, even now, temple economy contributes nearly 2.3% of GDP. This is going to, because of the interest that it has generated and the reasons that I just mentioned, this should get a very big boost. Also, this will attract lots of foreign investment into India now. And I think that should be tapped in the area specifically. And as I keep mentioning, other than the spiritual tourism and religious pilgrimage tourism, we should use it for educational purposes and showcasing
Right.
India's soft skills. And to my mind, the last point that I would like to make is it's on the river bank, so there can be water sports and all that. But most important is studies, courses, training,
Right.
educational institutions on the Indian epics and Indian education system of 7,500 years ago.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Charan Singh, eminent economist, and Rajiv Mehra, president of the Indian Association of
Thank
Tour
you.
Operators. Thank you for discussing this topic with us. In conclusion, let's say this, that India's G20 presidency in 2023 had a big impact on cultural diplomacy, highlighting India's immense potential as a tourist paradise. A Jeffries report says that Ayodhya can be a catalyst to boosting India's tourism industry, likely to happen, as our discussion says. And the ancient city is likely to be transformed from a quiet town into a global religious and spiritual tourist hotspot. Thank you very much for watching. Namaskar.